because Xilonen absolutely seems broken. Going to Google Chrome. We are not sitting through ads every 2 minutes. It is not happening. It is not happening. Google Chrome it is. All right, boys.
So
Let's
after
get it.
getting early access to Xilonen, my
Let's get
first
it.
thought after testing
Sidebar, Xilonen's weapon, I didn't see it, but it did get dripped. Let's actually pull it up real quick and see what it's like. Genshin Impact. I have not seen anything about it. I do think she's a must-pull unit, though. Indubitably. Also, say hi to YouTube, chat. Say hi to YouTube. What's cool? I think she's a must-pull for any mono team. Someone commented on my last video. Oh, everyone says hi YouTube, but YouTube say back to hi Twitch. They said hi to Twitch. So shout out to them. Goated. What is this? New weapon overview, the Rainbow of Destin Burn. Oh. Okay. Peak Patrol song, Paw Patrol. Gain Ode to Flowers after normal plunging attack hits an opponent. Defense increased by 8% for 10. And gain a 10% all elemental damage bonus for 6 seconds. Max 2 stacks. So you get 20% elemental damage bonus. And then 16 defense. Can trigger once per 0.1 seconds. When this effect reaches 2 stacks or the second stack of duration is refreshed, increase all nearby party member all elemental damage by 8% for every 1,000 defense the equipping character has to a maximum of 25.6. Brother, what I'm trying to say and what we're seeing here is that this weapon is broken and you should buy it because, oh my god, this is going to be good for Albebo. It's going to be good for Chiori, although if you don't have Chiori's weapon, but this is perfect for Xilonen. Buy it, get it, creep it. The albedo power creep is crazy. Well, Xilonen is definitely a different role. Shilonen's more of like a mono type character, for sure. But okay, let's get it. Let's get it.
her out was,
This is insane,
wait,
bro.
is she actually this broken? Because let me tell you, there's a ton of things that surprised me about her. And so in this video, I will showcase both of her playstyles, how good she is as a support, and if she's worth building,
Building her
as
as a DPS is a waste.
On top of that, I'll compare the
I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you, man. If you're building her as a DPS, I really believe you're doing it wrong. Like, all you need to do for her to be a good sub, because she scales with defense and her defense is tied to her heals, just throw defense on her, and Fav or her best in slot weapon, and that is it. Like, it is literally Loki. That's a part of her kit. Hey, what? The skating stuff? Dude, her kit is nutty. Her kit is actually insane.
weapon options
still
and
in
some
Wuwo.
different
Let me swap
artifact
over.
sets, and even compare her to other characters to see who is better. Most important of all, I'll answer the question if she's
Damn.
able to upgrade any existing teams and how much value she actually provides.
Okay.
So if you like what you're hearing, this is the video for you to decide if
Let me lay
Xilonen
it
is
on
worth pulling for.
On the mountain like that.
Before we start, as a quick disclaimer, the footage
Yeah.
you're about to watch is from the Creator Experience server, so content shown here is subject to change. Now, with that out of the way, I'll be showcasing several weapons throughout the
She's showing
video,
on the
but
wall,
in
she's
most
vibing.
clips, if I'm playing Xilonen as a support,
She
she'll
vibing.
be using the Favonius sword, while the artifact set is going to be the Scroll of the Hero of the Cinder City.
I hope he tried Archaic Petra, because I think when the Natlin Archon comes out, she's going to be using the same artifact set, and therefore you can't get double the you cannot get double the same set, you know what I'm saying? So definitely hope he tried
But
that.
I'll just shorten it to Hero Set whenever I refer to it. And as for talents, they are all raised to level 9, and of course, she's Constellation 0. So, what's so special about Xilonen? Well, to put it simply, she has two distinctive playstyles, depending on the team's elements. If you play her as a support with the Hero Artifact set, she essentially boosts elemental damage by 40%
Some doesn't stack.
and can also
This is not going to stack. If you are running this set with one character in your team, excuse me, with two characters in your team, it won't stack. So it's just a waste. It's a waste of a set. At that point, you might as well run a different set so you can get more buffs in total. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a waste. Like, I know it's a waste because you're getting plus 40% damage. Here, hold on. Let's put it over here so you guys can see the whole thing. Plus 40% damage.
reduce
from
the
that.
enemy's elemental resistance by up to 36%.
Okay, so her talent is 36 res. Like, that is guaranteed. What is Kazuha's? Does anyone know what Kazuha's decreases in his talents? I'm gonna pull it up.
But on top of that, she also provides healing, and if you're using something like Favonius Sword, she
That
can
shred's
also
insane.
act
It
as
is
a great
insane.
particle generator. Now, on
It's
the
a lot
flip
of shred.
side, she can also be played as a damage dealer. I'll be honest, without high
Don't do it.
investment and strong supports,
Don't do it.
she's
It's a
not that
waste.
great of a damage dealer. But you can achieve some hilarious results if you put in the effort.
No, she has shred built into her kit. No, How good is Xilonen weapon you recommended? Her weapon seems to be pretty busted. I assume they're gonna do testing with both, or the weapon seems to be pretty
And
insane.
I'll explain this damage potential
honestly.
a bit further into the video. But in a nutshell, when you tap the skill, she will deal some damage in front of her and start roller skating. But most importantly,
pretty
these
stupid.
small colorful icons will appear next to the Night Soul bar, which the game calls them source samples or simply samples. Now, these samples will depend on the team's elements. If the teammate is of Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo elements, the sample will change that respective color. But if there's less than 3
Banjo, I think you would keep it as defense. Excuse me, because unless you're running her as a DPS, for the DPS, for her as a DPS or in total, I don't think you're gonna need it. I think you're gonna want as much defense as possible because her healing scales with that. I feel like the attack would be a little bit of a waste, low key. I'm not gonna lie to you.
of those elements,
Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
better. Most important of all, I'll answer the
That's
question if she's able to upgrade next to the Night Soul bar, which the game calls them source samples.
Oh, the other
or
DPS?
simply samples. Now, these
I don't know.
samples will depend on the
I don't
team's
know.
elements. If the teammate is of
I think
Pyro,
it varies.
Hydro, Electro, or Cryo elements, the sample will
No, so he's saying, would you stack an attack goblet as opposed to the elemental damage bonus? Let's say, for example, if you're running with Arlecchino, you're doing a mono Arlecchino team. Would you go with attack instead because she's giving so much? My assumption is still going to be no, due to the fact that although she's great with mono teams, you're still going to want that normal damage from the main on-field DPS. I don't think it's going to give you as much of an increase with attack. That's my assumption. That is my assumption. So probably not.
will change that
Probably
respective
not.
color. But if there's less
like
than
so
3
buzzed
of
up
those
Pocahino?
elements,
Yeah.
then
It's
by
stupid.
default, the
Stupid.
samples will be of geo color.
It's insane.
So, for example,
It's a broken
if playing
set.
in a team with Farina, Nivelette,
What up,
Kazuha,
OF? How are you?
and
How are you?
Xilonen,
Welcome
2
in.
of the samples will be
Have a great
hydro
day,
color,
Stinky.
and 1 will be geo color. Since
Yup.
Kazuha is from Animal Element, the
Yup.
sample does not gain a color, and the same rule would apply for Dendro Element as well. So, sorry, but Animo and Dendro do not benefit from Xilonen's buffing. Now, when the skill is active, you'll notice the bar is decreasing. However, thanks to the first passive talent, if she has at least 2 samples of colors that are not Geo, or basically if the team has at least 2 units from Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo element, then her normal attacks during the skill will allow her to gain 35 Night Soul points. But
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest, literally it's enough to do 2 normal attacks and the bar becomes filled. It's very easy to fill it up. And then
Yeah,
once
she's
it's full,
super easy.
she actually exits the Night Soul Blessing mode. So goodbye roller skates, but for this noble sacrifice, this circle below the active character appears. And this is where the samples actually come into play. For each
Yeah,
corresponding
okay.
sample color, nearby enemies' elemental resistance will be reduced by up to 36% if the skill talent is maxed out. And the
It is. No. So that wasn't from the artifact. Her increase is 36% on top of the artifacts. Is kind of insane. Oh, what? And it goes for 15 seconds. Wonder how much a stack Navi can hit with this buff shred? Insane. She is going to directly be buffing Nuvalette teams and Navia teams. Now, obviously, Nuvalette doesn't need a buff. But, it's insane. Mulangi best team is going to be ridiculous. A lot of teams are going to get a lot better now. The only team that will not be as good is Tartaglia because you cannot get, you can't get a Hydro. You can't get the Hydro Corals, whatever the fuck they're called. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to you have them. You can have them both too. No, you're 100% right, Noakes. It's pretty sure they're talking about Kaza. I don't think Kaza shreds that VV. Yeah, she kind of just does her skill and that's it, which is kind of stupid. It's
duration
kinda
is
nutty.
actually pretty long, 15 seconds. So, for example, if we go back to that Nouvellette team, the Hydro and Geo resistances
Surf?
of
How are you?
nearby
Welcome in.
enemies will be reduced. It doesn't matter there were 2
Jesus
Hydro
Christ.
samples, the
However it is
resistance
today,
reduction
Surf,
doesn't
yeah,
stack for
how
the
you
same
feeling?
elements. It's just important to have at least 2 non-Geo colored samples
Usually I
for
got
this
you
to
after, buddy.
actually work.
We're recording something
and
now, but I
as
got
you
you.
can
No worries.
see, the resistance
stinky.
reduction range is pretty decent. I am quite far away from the enemy, and you can notice the debuff is still applying. Now, I know what you're thinking. So, who's better, Kazuha or Xilonen? Since Kazuha can reduce resistance with VV set, while Xilonen does that with her skill, and then he can boost elemental damage with his passive talent, while Xilonen boosts elemental damage with the hero set. Well, long story short,
If you need CC, you go Kazuha. If you don't need CC, you go homie, and you just call it a day. Just call it a day. Start farming your scrolls now. No dead ass. Why not both? In a Nouvellette team, you're gonna run both. In a Nouvellette team, you easily run
they
both,
both
for sure.
provide
I keep doing that. I'm so sorry.
better. Most important
God
of all,
bless.
I'll
Okay.
answer the question
Nope,
if
never mind.
she's able to upgrade
There we go.
slightly less resistance on the enemies, but
Hold up. Okay.
2% less than Kazuha, who has roughly 1000 elemental mastery. But keep in mind, on this test server, I cannot crown Xilonen's skill, so she ends up reducing slightly less resistance on the enemies. But get this, why compare when you can play them together? That's right, they work super well together.
Realistically, how many people have 1,000? Play Sucro C6 better than C0 Com. People say Sucro C6. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. But how many people have 1,000 EM Kaza though? I think that's very, 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 very unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of casuals and just a lot of people in general have bad artifact. I swear I didn't see this video. I swear I didn't see this video before preemptively saying that. Listen, no, listen. Why not? Why not both? No, because you can use it for both in some. I have 999. Does that count? Nope, it doesn't. You need that extra 1% to work. If you don't have that, then it's a fucking dog shit and your account is trash. You should uninstall.
So in other words, if you use Kazuha with Neuvillette before and then introduce Xilonen into the team, she will help Nuvi deal about 50% more damage. And this number only becomes higher when Furina's fanfare buff is active. I mean, seriously, we're essentially talking about a second Kazuha you can use together with Kazuha.
Holy
shit! Look at Neuvillette's stats when both are utilized. He can obtain more than 150% hydro damage bonus. And remember, the enemies will have up to 76% reduced elemental resistance. It's insane, I tell you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And keep in mind, I only showcase her boosting potential with Favoni's sword, but there's Freedom Sworn, which she can easily utilize. And there's also the new signature Peak Patrol song, which can provide up to 25.6% elemental damage increase.
They said Neuvillette is not strong enough. We need to buff that man a little bit more. A little bit more, bruv. I don't think you're going to use anything other than Fav or the best in slot. I don't think Freedom Sworn is going to be that great on her. I mean, like, I mean, could you use it? Of course. But I don't think that's going to really be the wave. I'm going to keep it a buck. I think it's best in slot or Fav. It's probably going to be it.
And this maximum amount can be achieved.
That man's already cracked. He's already cracked. Defense. Oh, can we get a shout out for Coco, please? And everyone go follow Coco, please.
Much more boosting on average these swords provide if
you
decide to use them. Now, the skill can also be used to travel around, and of course, in Natlan, it feels amazing. You can even do this
cool jump
and transform into an ocelot or jaguar. I have no idea which kitty cat, but still. Her skating on the ground is pretty fast and even better for climbing. I guess now we're wall running like in the Matrix. But compared to Mulani's surfboard, it's definitely not as fast. But hey, just like with Kazuha, nobody's preventing you from using them together.
The great thing about Wallowing Waves is you could one-up the walls for free. Go to video game. Go to video game. Best game of all time.
Traverse. In fact, in team section, I'll explain why she's kind of amazing.
No, shout out both Cocos.
But there's also the burst. So if she has at least 2 samples of non-geo colors, then it's gonna deal some damage in AoE initially, and then it will start continuously healing the active character.
It's single target heal.
8,000 HP, which is quite big, and this can happen up to 8 times, or heal for a total of about 63,000 HP. Now, I will say this. When testing the healing with Furina's burst in Nuvi's team, I think at around 15 seconds, maximum fanfare was achieved, although Furina's burst duration is only 18 seconds. So, I mean, I'm not really surprised since this is single target healing we're talking about.
You're not gonna... The times you're gonna use Xilonen with Furina, most likely, is probably going to really be only with Neuvillette. I mean, if you're running a mono hydro team, which is like, I feel like a little weird, I guess you could. But like Neuvillette energy regen on top of everything else, I think you're fine. So yeah, I think that's good. So yeah.
But still, even if the
I mean, I don't think Furina's the wave. I don't think let me get my coffee. I don't think Furina's the wave here, honestly. Have you beaten Inferno Rider? I beat him like on some accounts, but I don't have that damn luxury. The damn luxury of what?
Fanfare cannot be maxed out. Each stack does provide
if you have
additional
Neuvillette,
damage
you're
for the team. Also, another cool thing about Xilonen, her second passive talent states that when Night Soul Burst is triggered, which is when anybody in the team deals elemental damage, this will increase Xilonen's defense by 20% for 15 seconds. However,
even more
if
healing.
you fill up the Night Soul bar,
Any
she can trigger another Night Soul Burst, ignoring the usual cooldown limitation. And a great example for this is the Hero set. Each time the Night Soul Burst is triggered, she gains 6 energy. So as you can see, when she first hits the target, she gains 6 energy, then her skill produces 4 particles, so more energy, and then finally, after the 2 hits, the bar is filled and she gains 6 more energy. So essentially, when playing her as a support, she can reduce her burst cost from 60 down to 48, which helps tremendously with her energy recharge needs. But you might be asking, Gotcha Gamer, what's the point of defense for Xilonen? That's actually a great question.
HP scaling,
you see,
silly.
If you play Xilonen
A bit's gonna be different or stay the same next time it refreshes. I don't know. Probably be different. I think.
as a support, meaning
different.
the team has at least 2 non-geo color samples,
is this the
then
new
all defense
boss?
really does is help improve her
Okay.
healing. Because the
That's a
initial
cool
hit
boss.
from the skill, a couple of normal attacks infused with geo, and then the initial hit from the burst, this is an extremely small overall damage contribution she provides as a support. We're talking about at most 40 to 60,000 damage. So even if her damage scales with defense, it's negligible when playing as a support. And other beneficial stuff like the resistance reduction only scales with the talent level, and the hero set, I mean, it just gives the 40% elemental boost for the
Okay.
2 elements that were part of the reaction she caused it. That's it. Well then, I suspect you might be curious by now. So let's talk about DPS Xilonen. You see, when she activates
Do you guys want to see DPS Xilonen? I really think DPS Shilonen's a waste. I really don't care. Holy wall of text on the artifact. The artifact is pretty much saying if you don't have Natlan characters, it's only going to give you like 12% buff. If you have Natlan characters, like a 40% buff. That's really it. I would love to see DPS Xilonen. Okay. Doesn't work? It's trash. It definitely works. It's just I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's too. In a game like Genshin where your resources are so limited, building a DPS Xilonen is just like, to me personally, the biggest waste of all time. When you could just slap defense on her, you could slap Fav or her best in slot, and then kind of just call it, and she's super easy to build that way. It's like, why would you force her to be a DPS on top of the fact you need other geo characters? So, you know, it's a base take, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? It's just not worth your time, in my opinion. But let's see
the
it.
skill, her normal and plunge attacks become infused
I'll
with
be the
geo,
one and only
and
person
both
who's
of them
DPS
scale with
Xilonen is
defense.
crazy.
I mean, to be clear, her
Insane.
entire kit scales with defense.
You do that if you're
But
bored and do
here's
special.
the thing.
Sam, are you going
Without
live? Because
some
I'm ending in
serious
like 20
buffing
minutes.
and
Let me know if you're going
investments,
live.
Her damage is kinda okay. For example, I've equipped her with the Uraku Misugiri 5-star sword, and she's also using the Obsidian
How do you
Codex
pronounce that?
set. And in
How
a
do you
team with
pronounce
C6 Goro, Yunjin, and Farina, I mean, yeah, she can output some pretty decent damage. But this team doesn't really fully utilize Farina, since there's not that much healing going around. So then I noticed if we go back to the first passive talent, it says when she doesn't have at least 2 non-geo samples, then instead of building up the bar with Night Soul points, she gains 30% damage increase for normal and plunging attacks.
Okay.
Plunging. Huh. I wonder how well she would work with Xinlonen. Wait a
Probably not
second.
well.
She's actually hitting for 100 to 120k damage per plunge?
Oh,
okay,
shit.
this
Okay,
is
never
actually
mind.
pretty funny. Although
That's
one
kinda
thing I've
crazy.
noticed is that you don't want to do that
Kinda
dash
crazy.
cancel when landing a plunge to save time, because it drains the Night Soul bar super fast. So instead, you want to do those plunges without any tricks. Just jump up and land the plunge. And then you can do this up to 6 times, which actually becomes pretty decent damage. And I mean, if I do use the new Natlan craftable Flute of Espitzel instead of Uraku Misugiri, the damage still ends up pretty good, although definitely not as huge. So at least in this specific team, her damage potential even with this craftable is pretty good. Oh, and regarding the burst, again, if she doesn't have 2 non-geo samples, then after the initial hit, the burst will deal AoE damage 2 more times with exact multiplier. And with buffing, the damage is pretty decent as well, since those 3 hits could result in something like 240k total damage.
Right.
But yeah, the biggest
Get outta here,
takeaway
yeah.
with her
Bro.
DPS playstyle is that the Night
Shan-Yun makes anyone works, bro. Jonathan used plunge fucking Chung-Yun. You think Chung-Yun's a good character? But Shan-Yun makes it happen. You know what I'm saying? You
Soul
know?
bar will not grow, and if it doesn't grow, she cannot reduce enemies' resistance, and instead, she can usually fight for up to 9 seconds by using normal and plunging
Like,
attacks
Shan-Yun is
infused
just
with geo.
busted.
So, you're left with the choice. Do you want insane buffing, or use others as supports and play her
It just doesn't make sense to use her as a DPS. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's honestly a waste. You're nerfing yourself. I mean, obviously you could do it to have fun, and it's a different play style. Like, this is a very elitist meta whore coming out of me. But like, she's second to none.
as a
100K
damage
easy?
dealer.
We must have
Provided
another
you
video to watch
understand
after
this playstyle does require a lot more investment than just using her as a
pause here to show a
support, where
point.
she doesn't need amazing artifacts.
Bro, I mean, like, it's like right there. bro, it's my brother. Nuclear cinema. Nuclear cinema. It's right there. Like, that's the most lukewarm take I've ever had of all time. Don't fucking use her as, nuclear cinema. Nuclear cinema, I'm sure it's coming soon, but nuclear cinema, bro. You know what I'm saying?
She just needs to activate the hero set and have some energy recharge. Personally, I will use her as a damage dealer in open world, but for Abyss and Imaginarium Theater, she'll definitely be utilized as a support. And speaking of endgame, let's talk about some teams. Okay, so since she's from Natlan, let's talk about Natlan synergy first. And basically, besides the usual resistance shred and elemental damage boost, she's pretty amazing with Milani, since thanks to Xilonen's passive talent, she can trigger the second Night Soul burst very fast after filling her skill's bar. And this means by then, you should have 2 stacks, which will increase Milani's burst damage by 30% because of this talent.
DPS. Yes, sir.
And the team that I found to be the best for now would be Farina, Xiangling, and Milani. I know, the creativity is almost bankrupt here. And I mean, you'll notice this trend everywhere. Farina works really well with Xilonen, since she's a healer and can even—
Oh my god, bro. Dude, people are— Listen, I think Milani's clunky. I think she's annoying. But she is simply going to get better because we have more Natlan characters coming out. The more Natlan characters come out, the more her burst damage is going to go up, and her that's big. No, it is big. And then when the Pyro Archon comes out, she's gonna have a good vape applier. It's gonna be great.
You can utilize Farina if you play Xilonen as a DPS.
Nuclear
the other teams I recommend trying out would be
what's going on, Arch? Have a great day today, man.
Double Geo Pyro with Ben and Xiangling.
This is a great team.
Amazing.
This is the team that she's going to— Sidebar, my bad. Yo, Arch, welcome in, brother. Hope you're having a great day today. Say hi to YouTube, by the way. This is the team. This is the Nouvellette team that she's going to be having the most usefulness out of. Obviously, you can run her with any mono team at all, of course. But this is the team where your Navi is going to be doing big PP damage numbers. Am I cooked if I use all my luck at 5.0? Never, brother. You always have infinite luck as long as you're a viewer and a here. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
would be with another Geo unit. Navia double Geo Pyro with Benny and Xiangling is simply amazing. I remember some time ago when Navia came out, there was this complaint: she doesn't really have a great support. Well, Xilonen now absolutely fixes this problem. In fact, you could swap out Navia with Ningguang. Yeah, I'm telling this to like 12 Ningguang mains. You can actually do this. But then there's Ito, my bro. If you want to go super hardcore hyper carry, Benny, Farina, and Xilonen. Otherwise, you can remove Benny and use someone like Yelan for extra off.
Wait, wouldn't that not work with— doesn't she need 2 shards to get the shred though? So isn't she not getting— I'm so excited for Xilonen. No, same, bro. I'm very excited for her doing— why does my hair look like that? Wouldn't that not work? Am I bugging? Doesn't she need 2 of the shards? I feel like that the Yelan team makes sense, but I feel like the Benny team, you're not getting the full capabilities of her kit. Like, am I on drugs by saying that? I'm like 85% sure that's how it works.
Feel damage.
Thank you for pausing. No worries. I got you.
Stop being the victim of Benny Circle Impact. And speaking of victims, we all know Cryo lately hasn't been doing great in terms of meta. Well, I mean, Xilonen won't provide anything new here that Kazuha or Sucrose couldn't do for freeze teams. But if you play her in something like Wriothesley, Nahida, and Benny Burning Melt team, it's a pretty nice boost to Wriothesley's damage. Of course, you could also just play her in Mono Pyro teams. Again, since her buffing capabilities are very similar to Kazuha's or even
that post had me feeling things.
These exchanges can be made without a hiccup, unless you need grouping on enemies, which obviously Xilonen cannot offer that. Still, if you do decide to play Xilonen together with Kazuha, well, I think we all know who wins here. Nouvellette just keeps getting better.
It's me.
Xilonen's resistance reduction duration is 15 seconds, compared to the Virdes Menrir set, which only lasts for 10 seconds. So if you do play her together with Kazuha or another animal unit, I found it best to first do Xilonen's buffing and then switch to Kazuha or another animal unit afterwards, simply to maintain the longest duration of both of their buffs when you switch to Nouvellette. Although, keep in mind, if you don't have a C1 Nouvellette and you replace a shielder with Xilonen, he will get knocked around easily when shooting the laser. On the flip side,
yo, I appreciate you, Art. Thank you, brother. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Damn me up, bro. As long as you're enjoying them and you know they're helping.
To interruption, I appreciate you, brother. C1,
thank you.
But
we got a bunch more coming. Way more coming.
And I mean, you could also play them together in other teams where those buffs can stack well. Because the thing is, with or without him, Xilonen has insane flexibility. Since to reap the benefits of her buffing, all you need to do is just hit the enemy with some element applied to them to trigger the reaction for hero set, and then during the skill, just land a couple of normal attacks to trigger resistance shred. And of course, don't forget there's the burst burst you can use to heal the active unit. Most important of all, even though I cannot showcase Abyss footage due to technical reasons, I did play her in that mode. And one extremely important benefit you'll notice compared to Virdescent Venereer Resistance Shred, you can just keep fighting new waves of enemies when using Xilonen's skill, since unlike Vivi said, she doesn't need to reapply swirls on new enemies. I know she's potentially taking inspiration from an ocelot or jaguar, but maybe when she's older, she'll also take inspirations from cougars? I think I need help. Anyway, what do I think about Xilonen? I'll be honest, she's probably the most impactful
I'm looking at her
character
kit, give me a
since,
second.
I don't know. I mean, sure, if you don't care about min-maxing in meta, whatever that is in the game's current state, then yeah, she's just simply a fun unit to explore Natlan and offers 2 playstyles. But those who are a bit obsessed with squeezing out more damage, or just simply want a really strong support, man, I'm telling you, she's really good. In fact, not only is she good for Pyro, Hydro, Electro, and Cryo elements, but she's great for Geo too, since when using the hero set, she will always end up triggering Crystallize, so that means that
I'm a little disappointed that he didn't try with Archaic Petra, but I feel like they probably didn't know, or maybe they weren't allowed to. But I feel like, I guess we'll see when her initial kit comes out, but I do believe... Yo, what up, Price? I appreciate the raid, brother. Definitely, man. Welcome, man. How are you? Say hi to YouTube. Get a shout out for Price. Hope you had a great stream today, brother. How you feeling? How you feeling, man? Thank you. Bro, I feel like they said you need 2 of the same for the shred to be active, but maybe that's not the case. Xilonen possesses 3 Geo samplers. For every Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro character in the party, a Geo sample will be converted to the corresponding elemental type. When the sampler is activated, it will increase the corresponding... Okay, so when the sampler is activated, it will decrease the corresponding elemental res of nearby opponents. When Xilonen is under Night Soul Blessing state, the Geo sampler she carries will always be activated by default. Should she have at least 2 Geo samplers that undergone elemental conversion, Xilonen will get a Night Soul point. Oh, okay. Okay. So you still get the buff, even if, again, Price, I appreciate you, brother. I hope you had a great stream. You still get the buff, even if it's not 2 samplers. Okay. That's valid. You know, that's goated. That's goated so far. Yeah. She's goated. Pull her. She's a must-pull unit. Pull her, and great gotcha gaming video. That being said, mwah. YouTube, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.